meeting to order. Okay. We are good to go, correct?
You are good to go.
Okay, we're just going to work on the introduction tonight from Commissioner Lemaster, Chapter 3 and 8. That's all that's in our packet, so that's all that we're going to work on tonight.
I only have Chapter 3.
You only have Chapter 3? Well, if you keep going on, Chapter 3 is shorter than Chapter 8.
Okay, but
So let me...
we don't have the introduction.
Anyway, the introduction's on page 2, is it not? No.
It's okay. We'll start with what we have.
Yep, we'll just work on what we have.
Yep.
I thought Art did an introduction.
Yeah, actually, Mary Ann did the introduction, this introduction.
Okay, no. So in your work session packet,
Oh, page 16.
in the work
Oh, is
session
it? Okay, I just didn't go any
packet,
farther.
page 3, the intro,
It's on
that's Mary Ann's though?
page 16.
Is that Mary Ann's?
I don't know.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay, so
Mary Ann did.
we agreed that you were going to do the intro, so we'll take it up at another meeting.
I did the purpose.
Yes.
That you saw and edited,
Yes, okay.
but to me, this introduction is a summary.
Exactly, I agree.
You know, it's kind of a,
Yep, that's in my notes on, yeah. I agree, it's
But
an
anyway.
excellent summary.
yeah, because it's complete, it describes everything.
Yeah.
Right, so you could glance through that and know that you either wanted to go further into these guidelines or not.
Yeah, this would be, yeah, exactly.
That's the purpose of the summary.
It's very well done, a lot of work.
Yes, absolutely, and absolutely good information condensed. Madam Clerk, since we don't have Commissioner Lemaster's introduction, but he has it, are we allowed to hear it?
Yeah?
Okay,
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
You can talk about the whole thing.
go ahead and read your introduction, or your purpose statement.
How about we make copies? It's, to me, it.
Well,
but
okay, but here's the deal. It wasn't submitted in time, so we can't
Right.
have laydowns, okay? But you can read it for us, okay?
Oh, really?
Yes.
To me, you can call this the purpose of the document or the introduction. To me, it's more purpose than anything else, but it's, I start by saying Seward is unique, a small town on the ocean in a beautiful setting with much of its historical downtown still intact and on the road system. Yeah. Next paragraph, the purpose of this document is to provide owners of historic buildings and homes with guidelines on how to maintain their properties. These guidelines are intended to provide a source of information and ideas to aid owners of historic properties. This document can also be used to get that historical Seward look while using modern materials. And then you edited it to...
If you like my edits, you can include them. If not, don't.
I do, but I just printed off my original. I did,
Okay, well, we'll just go by that tonight.
using modern materials in new construction or a remodel.
Yeah, we changed it just a wee
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, you added
Restoration
preservation.
and preservation. And I would suggest that on, where you say that Seward is on the road system, we are the only historic town on the road system. Skagway is on a road system, but you must go through Canada. So we are the only one with an old town character intact on the road system. It's not like a,
I know, but I still think we can't be the only one because there are other towns. I mean, I just think only is a little,
all right,
I mean,
okay.
I
All
wouldn't
right,
want to.
on the road system school.
Yeah, only because Hope, Cooper's Landing, they all have historic, Moose Pass, they all have historic preservation entities, and I wouldn't want to get
But
crossways.
not like ours. But I accept your point.
Yeah.
Well taken. All right.
Next paragraph, over the years, Seward economy, excuse me, has changed from longshoring and fishing. Here you had some good edits, I should have.
Yes. Government was one of them.
Yeah,
And it hasn't really changed from, it's still those things, it's just that it's now tourism.
yeah. To tourism. Tourism is likely to continue growing and become even more dominant in our economy. By preserving our historic properties, we'll build on and strengthen what makes Seward unique and has to offer. Next paragraph, the motto of National Trust of Historic Preservation, and in parentheses, it's a privately funded nonprofit organization focused on saving America's historic places, close parentheses, is people saving places. For Seward, we suggest that this is backwards, and our motto should be places serving people.
I love that.
Since the best way to preserve a historic property is to have people living and working in it to support their families. Without people, a historic building is headed toward demolition. Next paragraph, preserving our historic properties and our Seward look is good for business. In turn, business supports families, and healthy families make for a thriving community.
I like it.
I do too. Where, just a question, where do you see that fitting? Is it the first thing you read? And then the introduction? Is that where we would place it in the document?
It's pretty much the introduction, rather than having this long thing, like, that's one of the, so I did the whole document, all right? But we're only gonna focus on chapters 3 and 8, because it's all we have tonight. But I think all the stuff before you even get to chapter 1, I mean, that should be in the body of the document, is my opinion, but we're not discussing that tonight.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just curious, because we've got it.
We do.
We want to
We do.
slide it in, and so that we have at least a cohesive continuation in the document.
Right.
What's happening
Do you
now is
have the
we're
whole one?
getting...
Do you have the whole,
No,
I mean, the whole, is that the?
no, this is,
Just tonight's?
yeah.
Okay.
That was just, I mean, I think it's really good, and I think if you read it, but, it needs to be inserted in to the document, and how did you see it
Well-
being used? That's how I was,
Well, I would, I'd say it's the first thing you read.
yeah,
And it needs to set the tone. That's the important thing. This is not, these are not standards that you have to meet. This is meant to help you, should you want to maintain the Seward look.
okay. It was just a question, I mean, I think it's really good information, but then when I think about the whole document, it has to fit in the document and make sense where it fits. So that was,
Right, well, I think
how did
I
you
think it's-
envision seeing it?
Well, when we talked about this at our last meeting, it was the first thing you were gonna read.
Okay.
Because it sets the tone for the entire thing. Where you're going, which is important, there's a whole bunch of really, really good information, pictures, everything. But it's between where this would be and chapter 1. And all that information, for the majority, should be tucked into chapters 1 through 10.
Yeah.
Not this whole long thing before you ever get into your,
I wasn't going there, Cheryl. All I asked was, how do you see this being used? I think it's really good information, and my question has been answered, that in fact, it's the first thing. It'll be a title page, it'll be on the outside cover, however that
probably,
was up.
I think the pictures that you guys chose for the cover, I think, you open that and then it's the first thing you see.
Yeah, so purpose, right?
Yep,
Okay.
yep,
And then you start going through the rest of the document, however we choose to edit it.
yes. Okay, so on page 3 begins chapter 3. So, to begin with, Commissioner Lemaster suggests that we remove these figures from this page. be leaving their out of context here. So, can you give us a little bit more explanation?
Well, these pictures are used, I'll say many times. So I would if I were doing the document, I would try to make it easy to read, clear and direct, and short.
Okay, but this is the Facebook of Chapter 3.
Yeah.
So my suggestion
I would say
is-
Chapter 3 right here, Chapter 3, then you get into it.
I kind of like having a divide here, you see Chapter 3, and the chapter title I might want to put on, this is my idea, page 3 on front, Chapter 3, and then the guidelines for rehabilitation. You can keep your guidelines for rehabilitation on the next page, but I kind of like the idea of St. Peter's being here, guidelines for rehabilitation of historic properties, and what I'd like to see, given the commission's support or variations, I'd like to see, a current picture enlarged of St. Peter's, and then a close-up, because this chapter's on rehabilitation, and that building definitely needs rehabilitation, so visually it would set it off. Mr. Ward?
Well, I was going to say, you're giving it a little more thought. I like the idea of having the name of the chapter on there. I think that's
Yeah, I
really
do
good.
too.
But we could make just to standardize it, no pictures on any of the chapter pages, no photos.
Well,
You could put the photo in the body of the document, but that would lead to continuity. So Chapter 4, Chapter 5, Chapter 6, they're all the same, but with the title of what the chapter name is. And that, at least you have some of the information. We could put photos. I think there's probably, once we get a document that we're happy with, I suspect we need some professionally done photos. These are like with iPhones.
yeah, but,
You know what I
okay,
mean?
yeah, I see your point.
So if we said,
However-
inside the chapter, we said guidelines for rehabilitation of historic properties, there'd be a nice picture of the church with, I live up the street from that. And I'm concerned about that building.
Yes, it's a great
Real
example
concern.
of one that is in absolute need of rehabilitation,
Yeah.
or restoration and rehabilitation.
So,
Commissioner Lemaster?
Chapter 3, we should have the title of
Yep,
Chapter 3.
that's what Commissioner Ward just
Yeah,
said.
yeah.
And the title would work that's on the next page,
Right.
guidelines for rehabilitation. And there's nothing wrong with repeating that onto the next page. I
right,
don't think.
and then use a picture of the church, because now they're in the body of the document, they're starting to read, the pictures are there.
Right. My point on pictures is pictures, are worth 1,000 words. Visually, so if we had photos on a chapter page, or at least one photo that looked like what that chapter was explaining, I think that would be good. I'll just write photos on here, question mark,
Well, I just think,
and title.
at one point, at some point, I was thinking, that if we look at all the chapter pages and have a template, and if we decide we want to keep pictures on the chapter pages, I don't have a strong feeling either way, but that each chapter page is consistent.
Oh, I agree.
That's kind of where I was going.
I'd like to see the chapter, the title, and at least a photo or two of an example of what the chapter is explaining.
And I think the other thing that I would suggest, and I don't know if we ever put this out, to get how much it's going to cost, I imagine color photos will jack the cost up.
Yes, but color sells.
So that, those are just things to consider, but
Yeah.
I'm not saying we lose the picture, we just don't, you said this
No, I
picture
know,
is in the...
I know, you
art-
said stick it into the body.
Yeah,
But if a person comes to chapter 3 and they see a title and it's just this black and white thing, it's just kind of nice to see, have a visual of when you open the, yes,
Yeah,
Commissioner
sure.
Lemaster?
Sure. I think we're in the weeds
yeah.
here.
Okay, all right.
And we really,
So chapter pages is another issue that will be taken up in another.
Well, that's design. I think what we're discussing more is design. I think maybe we want to focus on content.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, but my thought is that we don't see the big picture here because we don't have, and I guess I'm a paper person, but I would have a book, 3-ring binder, with chapters 1 through whatever it is, 18, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And set up and I think what we can see is there's a lot of duplication.
I know there is.
When we see the big picture.
I know, but we don't have a lot of historic buildings that, you know?
But I guess my point is, we're arguing about details that really don't matter.
Yeah, I think that's what Sue was saying.
We need to be consistent.
Right, that's all I was saying.
Yeah.
That, and make it simple. You were talking about a simple document, so that's where I was kind of going with
Yeah.
that.
But I guess I would focus on content and not get down into,
Yep.
right?
So we're going to move, Commissioner Walker? Any comments? No? Okay. So going on to page 4. Okay, so unfortunately, these don't have your
Red lines.
strike-throughs and,
I've got that at the house. I didn't bring it, but
well, let's see here now.
that would be good when we, to look
Yeah,
at the red lines. I do have that at home.
yeah, Well, this is gonna be rather difficult. Well, I have them, so this is gonna be hard, but see if you guys can envision this. So, okay, no, wait. She may have already edited this. To a
Who's she?
3 level approach. Okay, she did. Okay,
Would that be Brenda?
no, I think Bailey.
I think.
Oh, she, okay.
Okay,
Document.
so
Okay.
these do include your edits. So everybody read through, see what you think. The only problem that I have with this page is compliance with all guidelines is desired, but there may be circumstances where an approach is needed to achieve the most appropriate preservation solution. I believe the word compliance needs to be replaced. This is not as we agreed, it's not a standards, it's not anything that can be enforceable. So saying compliance, who are they compliant with?
I agree. I would,
Following, you just say something simple.
These guidelines,
Following all guidelines is desired, but there may be circumstances,
perfect.
or I would say there may be circumstances.
or there will be.
Well, I think it's fine. Following all guidelines is desired, but there may be circumstances where a balanced approach is needed to achieve the most appropriate preservation solution.
I think that,
That reads well, don't you think?
Even following is too strong of a... You have a
Okay,
good
how
point.
about,
You have a good point.
how about the word, these guidelines are desired, but there may be circumstances where blah, 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 blah. Does these guidelines are desired? Does that sound pushy? Enforceable sounding?
These guidelines are suggested. How's that for a weaker word?
Commissioner Ward?
fine.
Or recommended?
We're doing exactly what we've always
the
done.
weeds.
Yeah,
Which is
yeah.
spending all this time trying to edit a single word.
Yeah.
And so we never get anywhere with that.
Okay,
So we're doing exactly the same thing that we said we weren't gonna do.
okay.
Sorry, but I'm starting to get frustrated.
Okay. Well, did anybody read this before they came?
Yes,
I did.
Did you find things
It
Did you
read
mark?
real smoothly. No, I didn't mark anything because I thought, this is read real smoothly to me, given that it's been already marked up once.
But you do agree that we lose the word compliance?
However we want to do it, but we've just spent 10 minutes.
I know.
About a word.
But we may as well decide on one since we're already there.
Pick a word and
Personally,
stick it in.
following is fine with me. I don't think, or saying, these guidelines are desired, or suggested. We're already in the weeds, what do we want to say? All right, these guidelines are suggested. Okay, and, so,
No, I thought this read real well when I read it.
Yeah,
I thought
I
it's been
agree.
smoothed out quite a bit.
okay, historic material.
See, I would prefer, just personally, I would prefer the church rather than say, maybe one really nice picture than two real small ones that are hard to see. Do these pictures match what's in
No,
the text?
I don't believe so, because,
That's-
what's the Park Service building?
Solly's, that's the old Solly's.
Solly's was an absolute rebuild. It was not a rehabilitation.
I don't mind it being used. I think what I'm trying to say is, let's look at the text, but I think when we select photos, the photos should match the text.
Okay,
So that,
Solly's doesn't
otherwise
match
it doesn't, otherwise, what about Solly's?
Solly's wasn't rehabilitated. We're going through this and we have sections. Reconstruction, restoration, rehabilitation. Solly's was not rehabilitated. It was rebuilt to mimic what it originally was. So this would be better in, a different chapter.
Okay, well, when I go through this, I've looked at the text. I think the text looks really well. We could argue over specific words. When I talk about the chapters and I talk about the photos, these are sort of principles. So if we can come to an agreement on the chapters, if we're going to put a photo on it or the title, and we take out all the pictures, and that'll be done at the end when the text is complete. These are just principles.
That might be a good idea.
Yeah, so we're not looking at anything but the text. And we have some agreement on long-term principles that once the text has been agreed upon, and I just looked at these and I was thinking, why are they there? And so if we have that principle, then we just go through the rest of this, we don't look at the pictures. Get out of the weeds a little bit. But that's just a general principle. As we're going through, we're going to focus only on the text.
Okay.
And agree that these may not be appropriate for that page.
Okay, so I read through the whole thing. I've been working on the whole thing. And there's a lot of repeats. So as you go through it, right now we're only in 3, and we're going to get into 8. And information is elsewhere. So I think we need to be careful on the repeats, that's all I'll say.
Yeah, no, and it's so funny because I keep hearing that, and yet we've never edited and found a repeat, because we never get that far.
Yeah, but you get bits in this, and you get bits in that, and then you get long bits in that, so it's there, if you look through the whole thing.
Then let's edit it. Let's actually achieve something.
Well, but you don't want to go word by word or sentence by sentence. So the problem with doing that, and this was Commissioner Benoit's point at our last meeting, that we actually all should go, okay, we're going to stop for just a minute, we're going to take a recess of about 5 minutes. Hello, Mr. Jaffa.
Good timing. Okay, your sign's up. I got some extra screws for you. Are you out of order or out of section?
Yep, we're out of session, we're on recess, sir.
Here's the rest of your screws
Okay,
and we'll go wash up.
let's see. Commissioners, would you stand with me, please? He deserves a standing ovation.
No. You guys been working on this
Now
for what,
eat
2
your
years?
cookies. Eat your cookies on your way home to Moose Pass.
I'll tell you one
Thank
thing,
you,
though,
Bruce.
and I can say it, I'll wait for your meeting if I want, but I asked the tourists to come by today to look at the sign and the McMullen building, which, thank you very much, is another nice sign. And two guys from Montreal, this is a great ship, this Viking ship, but he liked reading it, but he was confused because it's on our empty lot, rather than on the building itself where the mural is. So I'm gonna reposition it.
Oh.
I'm gonna talk to Jennifer
Tommy?
Hedke and
Oh.
move her commemorative, you know, she's got all the artists and whatnot. I'll move that closer to the big mural, and then I'll mount your sign kind of on the building, but kind of at an angle, so it faces the sidewalk a little bit. It'll be cool.
Well, good.
Can't tell you when.
But the point is, I think we make the best guess when we decided on those
No,
positions. And you
I
actually,
figured that's what
yeah.
I wanted it.
Well, yeah, and so we make the best guess, and now we've had some feedback from people who actually,
And it makes sense.
yes.
You know.
So that's good feedback. It may end up, we have to reposition a few signs if that's the
Yeah,
case.
in the short term, I might just put an arrow. Point towards it.
Well, we support you in doing that.
Yeah.
You've done
Okay.
great work getting our last 3 signs
I'll
installed. I
give you a call
appreciate
in the
it.
morning, I don't know where we're at on that special section. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr. Jaffa.
Bruce.
Maintain.
Eat your cookies.
Oh, yeah.
All right. We are back in session at 6:26 PM. All right. All right, so we've decided we're not focusing on photos. Okay. Now, so we've got on page 6, Commissioner Lemaster has chosen to remove the turret, for lack of a better thing.
Yeah,
And then up at the very first paragraph, you've got carefully planned repainting. And this fits good, but she's gonna have an entire chapter on painting. So I'm just gonna say, when you go through the whole thing, you're going to see repeats, and where we can if they're little bits like this, that's fine. But some of them get pretty long and really should be dealt with in a chapter and just have a reference. You know, this information can be found in chapter blah, blah, blah.
Good idea. Yeah.
Okay, what do I have here? Okay, so further, okay, we're not talking about pictures. But the one below it, yeah, I like the 3rd Avenue, oh yeah, we're not supposed to talk about it.
yeah, but that's our picture.
I know, and I like it.
Yeah,
I like it
the other
better.
two are Juno.
I know, and I like ours better, I think it should be bigger, because it also, it shows what it is we're trying to say,
Right,
only
well,
locally.
and we want local pictures.
I think so, too. Okay, all right, page 7. Commissioner Lemaster disagrees with, actually, the first paragraph, well, no, 3rd paragraph. You want to take that on, Commissioner Lemaster?
Well, I'll just read, it says, primary building materials such as wood siding and concrete should not be replaced with synthetic materials.
However,
To me, I would leave that up to the owner. We want it to look original, you know, right?
right,
But I don't know that we know enough to tell them what materials to use, see?
I did have a question. A sentence above, matching the original size, the amount of exposed lap and finish. Is that lap board, or is that actually a thing all by itself? It is by itself? Thank you, Brenda. Commissioner, Madam Clerk. Okay, so,
That was what.
okay, so, yeah, I saw this too, and I thought, well, maybe you can just put in a sentence or two about new materials if they mimic the historic look.
I think that's the intent.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, that's what we've said under purpose, and we've said that all along, so it's just not, the wording could be better, put it that way.
Yeah.
If it were mine, I would delete that corky dot, primary building materials.
oh, I see.
But anyway, rather than
Okay.
delete it, I just put that note in so we would discuss.
Okay, so you want to delete that. Well, besides deleting it, you could just do a sentence of new materials can be used if they mimic, something, I don't know. Commissioner,
I would say something like, primary building materials, I was going to use the word encourage, and I just lost it. Such as wood siding or concrete would be encouraged, but easily replaced with synthetic materials or
that
something.
mimic the historic look.
Yeah, yeah. The point being is that you want to encourage them to use appropriate or original type
Right.
material, but it's not required.
It
Right.
says that here, though.
It does above?
A substitute material may be appropriate if the size, scale, texture conveys the same appearance. So is that a repeat?
Yeah, I
It
would.
kind of is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe you're right,
I think you might be, I think you're correct.
just to delete it.
Yeah, that's unnecessary because we already
Okay.
said it.
All right, so, all right. Any other comments on this page? Great.
See, that's why,
Okay.
I like chapter
All right.
8. See, this is kind of why I was saying if we came up with a template for each of the chapters, because we may not always have appropriate pictures. I just think that's real nice. But put the title and the picture here.
Okay,
I just don't know, we have limited, when we start talking about certain things, we just didn't, I know when Iris and I were going around looking at photos, we didn't have some examples, but I don't know all the buildings in town, so.
well, some of the example photos that are in the document are from Juneau, and they do show what the point of that,
If it's an Art Deco building, that particular period,
well, there's a couple of different ones
Yeah,
that we don't have in Seward, where the picture from Juneau is good, but it's not cited in here from Juneau. So that would be my only suggestion,
Okay.
make sure we credit Juneau.
yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay, let's see, where did I get this?
Active downtown.
Okay, we got rid of that. Oh, all right, okay. All right, give me a minute here, I gotta get up to chapter 8. Here.
We don't really have any of this downtown, but that doesn't mean we don't have it. Cut and fill and earth berms.
So,
I'm thinking, even further down on Third Avenue where they built those new apartments, they did a real nice job, the earth berm for retaining walls. They did a real nice job without, so this is not necessarily downtown.
oh, no, it doesn't
No.
have to be. We don't want it to be, right? Didn't we agree that we want anybody, like, if they do any restoration on Millionaire's Row or on, Second,
At
that-
318, because I'm doing a berm wall.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's supposed to apply for anyone for any kind of historic restoration, reconstruction, preservation. But the Alaska Fur Gallery is one of the pictures from Juneau. I know you're gonna deal with pictures later, but that, let me see. Boy, it's really hard to, okay, here we go, now I'm at chapter 8. Okay.
So just,
Okay, so we have guidelines designed for public streetscape. What do I got here? Let's see. Okay, so now let me read this. Seward has an active downtown where pedestrians share streets with buses, automobiles, and bicycles. Now, I want you to This mix of traffic can enhance the pedestrian experience if the elements are kept in balance. A unified streetscape design will help maintain a sense of visual continuity while expressing the unique qualities of the downtown historic district. Maybe you fixed this. Oh, okay, you did. All right, moving on. Anybody else have any comments
No,
on this?
I thought this was real good. It's real clean. Nice job.
Okay, site retaining walls. Okay. Okay. Okay, so building and site lighting. The primary function of lighting is for safety and security. Lighting is also used to accent building character. I don't like advertising and sales promotion. Historic preservation has nothing to do with, promoting a store's sales. So I'd like to just have a period at the end of character.
I think we might want to add that somewhere else. The only reason I say that is because if you have a business, well, what about my advertising signs? Where do I do sales? I could see the
Right, well, that's
function
in
of the
signs.
building.
Right, there's a chapter on signs.
So we do have that in there? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you did it, Sue.
Well, I looked at this, I am so confused. All right, so take that out.
Well, do we agree with that, or are we okay with leaving it?
I do agree, it's just that I said.
Okay, it's only one sentence. It's not
Yeah,
a whole chapter.
well, all I was gonna say was, I could see where people, as long as it's addressed somewhere else, because I could see where a shop owner would be concerned about that as an issue, because they have to function as a business, and so they're gonna want to do advertising, they're gonna want to do a sales promotion. And as long as that's addressed elsewhere in the guidelines, that's fine.
It is. There's
Okay,
a chapter
and
on it.
that's the answer.
However, there's going to be little bits that are repeated. It's just where
Yeah,
there's
no, that's
long,
fine.
it's just that where there's long repeats that I think you're going to want to be sensitive to
But
it.
this keeps it clean.
Yep.
I'm okay with that, removing that.
And my little edit boxes. Okay, so on page 11, and again, you said we're going to talk about pictures later, but I don't like the 406 example. That looks like a really modern building, and that's one of the things that we have a little bit of a chapter on.
No, I'm happy. The pictures were just things we
No,
sort of.
I know, is an example, but
Right.
to me, it just supports new building, which we don't want to do.
No, that's fine.
And that, I think, okay, let's see. Okay, let me see. Here we go. Am I in the weeds if I say the secondaries should be together on page 11? Secondary accents may illuminate, and then strobe, and then seasonal, and then secondary again. So I was thinking that should be made one sentence, and then strobe and seasonal follow that.
I agree. Yeah. Because they talk about secondary entrances, and down here it talks
Yeah.
about rear entrances, so those could be combined into one sentence.
Are you okay with that, Commissioner Lemaster?
Yeah, what are the edits here?
Okay, so we've got secondary accents, and then strobe, and then seasonal lighting, and then you've got secondary accents again. I'd like to see the secondaries either together as two sentences or combined into one sentence with strobe and seasonal following those.
Gotcha.
They're kind of an interruption,
Yeah.
the way they're placed.
Right. Good catch.
I mean, all you have to do is just say secondary accents may illuminate secondary entrances, illuminate other areas of public access such as side or rear entrances, architectural detail and sign. It's a pretty easy combo.
Combine them, yeah,
Okay, anything else on that page?
good.
Okay. Okay, page 12.
Whoa,
What the heck was that?
Boulder.
Oh, no, we don't want that.
It was what?
It's the first one.
Is that them
Big
dynamite?
blast?
Oh, that could have been them dynamiting over there on the road.
Any, I would have thought so too, that's the only thing. Were they drilling? I didn't see any drills up there, that's.
Kirk Blue has not had an update, so she wasn't ever able to put one out, so she's not sure where they're at right now.
Okay. All right, well, we'll continue.
Okay, so page 12 is good. Page 13.
Oops,
Okay.
rescue my napkin. Okay,
And we're ignoring photos.
right.
Okay, that's probably, yeah. Oh, wait, okay. What did you do here under sidewalks? Okay, so this is where I would strike the top picture. And now we're not talking about pictures.
I know, but still, why do we have a Hawaii picture? We've got canopy and awnings.
The picture that's down at the bottom here fits with early photographs of downtown Seward, show simple sidewalks. Now, of course, this is turn of the century, and we have simple sidewalks now, so it would be good to have a Seward picture in here. You know, more modern if you wanted to, but you guys are going to take up. Okay, so now you've got in your chapter 8, her introduction shows up. Are we done then with chapter 8?
I don't know where we are.
Yeah.
Okay, so we were on page 15.
Oh, what happened?
And then
We
this,
didn't do 12 and 13?
We did.
We
We
just-
said,
No.
are there any edits?
Okay.
And everybody was cool with it. So, and you're gonna do with photos later. So
So, yeah, that-
if you move on to page 16, we get into the introduction. Now, this is Mary Ann's introduction. And I really think, okay, now wait, here we go. Let me find me. Oh, nope, I'm not gonna have this. I'm not gonna have, okay. So, I really think that Mary Ann's introduction is great as a summary, but I think it's just way too long and like technical. Maybe page 22 would be good for, you know, earlier, like, I don't know, maybe page 21 and 22 would be good in the beginning, following your purpose statement, because it gives you a picture of what's, you know, the very beginning, even planning one. She's got her, I don't know what you call that. And then having our historic overlay boundaries, which I described because it says, you know, we should have them described, so I did in mine. And I can submit that later. But maybe these two should be in the very beginning, following your purpose statement. Page 21 and 22. Because they're not really summary, they're kind of like, you know, they're setting the tone for the document.
Mary Ann wrote this, and I would, I agree that it's a summary, because it covers everything, pretty much. But I would leave it intact and let her edit it.
She's pretty happy with it. She made that clear.
Yeah.
Her heartburn is going to be that it's not the introduction.
Well, we can call an introduction, but
So my thing with Mary Ann's introduction is, along with what I said, all the information that precedes chapter 1. There's a ton of information that before they even get into the chapters and you know, the body of the document that tells them how to do this and how to do that. So I think, parts of her summary, like I really do think that this, page 22 would be good. And I don't know that I'd call it a chapter. I think I just put it on the next page following the purpose statement. But anyway,
I agree. It lays it all out.
Well, and the other thing,
Repeat that, I'm sorry.
okay, so on page, so adding page 22, we have Commissioner Lemaster's purpose statement,
Yep.
adding page 22 to the next. So, because it's kind of a visual of the steps that you go through. Does that make sense?
and the only other thing that I would say is, I'm looking at page 19. Do we even need that page?
Okay. Is this the one with the pictures?
Well, it just says, who
Oh.
can use the design guidelines? What are the design guidelines? Why have design guidelines? I think they're all.
Yeah, I think, this is like said over and over and over.
Right, and so, to me, it's been said in the purpose statement, it's said again in the introduction. This is sort of implied, who can use them? Anybody can use them. What are they? They're here, you could read them.
This is in chapters.
Right, so
yeah, I
I say
agree.
erase,
Okay.
page 19 doesn't
Drop
even.
19.
Yeah, that's not even,
Okay. So, are we good to move on? Okay, page 20. When to use design guidelines, that's also a chapter.
yeah, if we've already said it, then why do we have that? So that whole, if it's in, I agree. Art, do you think that streamlines it?
Oh, I'm just reluctant to edit her work without her.
Well, this is not her work. The only thing that Mary Ann did was the introduction here. This is original. This is cut and pasted from Juno. This is cut and pasted from Juno.
Oh, I thought she said that she
No.
did this whole thing.
No, she may have added it, but the introduction, this is what Mary Ann did.
And that she did the table too, didn't she? The walkthrough table?
Nope,
Really?
came directly from Juno.
Where was that? 19, no.
Came directly from Juno.
Oh, okay. Okay,
So,
so the why here, why now,
is that
that's
necessary?
her, isn't it?
No,
So all she wrote was this introduction
Yes.
period?
yes.
Okay.
So,
And so we like the introduction as a summary.
right, and we have, and I would suggest, I'm not necessarily sure we need why here, why now, although, I don't know.
Because it's covered, I mean,
Right.
if you wanted to say that, I mean, I think
The only thing.
Commissioner Lemaster's purpose statement pretty much explains why
Right.
here, why now.
Those kinds of things seem, the one thing I would say is when to use the design guidelines. That might be something that's worthy to keep in.
I think that's also in,
Well, that's the only one of those two pages that I think, and then we've got the map. Is that even, when we talk about it?
yeah, we talked about it earlier.
But
And the thing
planning a,
here is,
I just think, when to use the guidelines, planning a preservation project, those two are kind of a a glance at it, and it tells you what to do. So those
okay,
things,
so now where are you? Oh, so you're pulling, okay.
yeah, so why here, why now, what's the purpose of that? Unless we want to talk about bestowed a local historic designation, a downtown historic district, I mean, then we don't even need the historic district map. If we're not going to talk about it, why is this in here?
I think the why here, why now is interesting.
Yeah, but those are things that, yeah,
Okay, so
if
could
it's
we-
useful, let's leave it, if it's not, let's don't.
All right, so then why here, why now? Where would we place this? So we've got the purpose, we've got
The introduction.
flow chart. So would we then put this after the flow chart?
You know what I would, I'm wondering. That, I mean, I think the information, but can we relabel that? Make it part of the introduction.
I agree.
So you mean part of the purpose statement?
Yeah, no, introduction, Mary Ann's introduction, just take that out and leave it as is.
Take
Why here, why now? leave
Take
it
that out? Oh, okay.
Just the title of it, but leave the
Oh.
information that just follows behind Mary Ann's introduction.
Which is a summary? All right, gotcha. All right, so there's no title on that.
And then, when to use the design guidelines.
That's also,
Is that redundant?
yes. So who can, what? I kind of thought it was okay because they're just little blips, they're not long things, but
Well, if you're doing
you
any, yeah,
have chapters.
but if you're doing any of these things, then the guidelines do apply to you. What it says is, hey, I'm not doing this, this, and this, but I am gonna do an addition, I'm gonna put a new window in. That's what they did at the passenger depot.
Okay, so
that might be useful information.
where do you want this?
I think just take this
In the
out,
summary,
make it
or-
all here.
Okay, no, wait, you can't go take this out of the...
Well, no. Well, we've already discussed it, take out why here, why now, this is one complete unit.
Okay, how many pages?
16 and 17 are now one. This is just a photo, so there's nothing useful there in terms of,
Okay, so this is right. All right, so summary.
right. And so then we've taken out 18 and 19.
Well, we haven't taken them out, we've just made them summaries. But we're taking them out of this body.
Right,
Okay.
right. Who
Are
could
you
use,
following this?
who could use the design
Yeah, good.
guidelines?
I think so.
What are the design guidelines? Why have, we decided we were gonna ax that because it's,
Yes.
okay? So now we're on page 20.
Okay, now wait, page 18. This may be,
Page 18 is just a picture.
I know. And if you're looking, along 4th Avenue as it appeared over 115 years ago. So this is just like,
It's not necessary.
I agree.
So that goes out.
Okay.
So 18 and 19 are out.
Okay,
Now we're looking at page 20.
yes.
And that's what we were discussing, when to use the design guidelines. This might be helpful.
In the beginning.
Yeah, and I would
Okay.
just put it in right behind the introduction.
The flow
Leave it
chart?
right where it is, yeah.
No,
The flow chart,
Her
right.
introduction is summary. So these would go after the flow chart.
This flow
In
chart?
the beginning, yeah, we're gonna put his purpose statement, then that, and then this would be a good place to stick this the next page after the flow chart.
Right, exactly.
Okay,
Because it really does follow up with
page
this
20 goes after flow chart, which is page
22.
22. Okay.
Got that? Got that?
Are we all agreeing, or are we going too
Yeah.
fast?
No, I think this is pretty much axing quite a bit of stuff that apparently is redundant
Okay.
and streamlining the guidelines.
Okay, so here we go on page 21, compliance. That needs to go. Anything like that needs to go. The next sentence, complying with the relevant guidelines is voluntary. Now, see, that's good, but I don't like the word compliance.
We'll change the title.
Yeah. So, let me see. And we've got this historic overlay here, which I don't know.
Well, that's what was set
Yes.
aside by,
Yeah, let's just, it can go somewhere else. Because again, we want to make sure that this document isn't for the historic overlay that's in place, but that it can be used everywhere, right?
right, but that's why I was wondering, that might be something that's not necessary now either.
So you just want to strike this page?
Well, I just, yeah. What do you think?
I think the wording is fine.
Without compliance, right?
Yeah, without compliance. But we're likely not to get this approved.
this
This map,
black, pink line right here, that is the official historic overlay.
right, it has been.
Yeah.
We just wanted to
There's
rename
no
it.
ordinance or
Okay.
resolution to protect it, but that is the, everybody is aware of the historic overlay boundary as being
Okay.
this.
Right.
So, where would you put the wording? Commissioner Lemaster? Or let's just say save wording and you can review it later and pick where you want it, huh?
Probably up here, let's see.
You gotta tell us what pages you're on when you get there.
I think we deleted the who can use, right? But are we keeping the words?
Where are you?
Page 19.
No, it's that, no,
We're not keeping any words.
none of this was my recommendation, simply because,
It's repeated elsewhere.
yeah, it's kind of implied.
Why don't we put this right below this one? Talks
So
about
put the,
Design guidelines, page 20,
put the map on page,
right below page 20.
well, we're gonna put page 20, which I guess you could do then.
Yeah.
We're gonna put page 20, which would be, I don't know, page 3 or 4. It's gonna follow the flow chart.
in front.
And then put this next, so,
This says where does it apply? Well, it applies right
put,
here.
okay.
Oh,
Well, we want to be careful though, because we want these design guidelines to work everywhere, not just in this specific boundary.
But it says here, I mean, it clearly says the design guidelines apply to properties within the downtown historic district as shown on the enclosed map, but may also be applied to historic structures throughout Seward.
Okay, good.
That's what it says,
So, okay, great. So we're gonna take the map
and put it there.
and put it on page,
20.
no, it's, well, 20, yeah, but 20 is gonna be, 20 follows the flow chart.
Right, right.
So we wanna add the map,
Well, it's all gonna be renumbered.
overlay. Okay, add overlay, and Commissioner Lemaster, you kinda like the paragraph up here? Would
I
you wanna
do.
add your paragraph to page, the before or after the map?
yeah, I would, I'd move these words over here to this page, and I would say using these guidelines, or,
Okay? Yeah, using these guidelines is voluntary. I like that. Okay, so you want that,
they're good words.
right, so you want it to follow where do the design guidelines apply?
Yep.
Okay.
I would move it in right here.
Okay,
And the only other comment
So-
I would make
so we're gonna add page 21 down here, okay?
is if we're keeping the map, which is fine, but the wording underneath talks about Front and Franklin Street.
And that's not
Juno.
here, that's Juno.
That's Juno.
Yeah. So,
That's right, downtown Juno.
Madam Clerk, you got that?
I've already taken that out of a previous
Oh,
Oh,
great.
good.
version.
She was ahead of the curve.
So
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
Okay, so, we're going to take page 21, using guidelines is voluntary. We're gonna put that underneath where do design guidelines apply, and then the historic overlay map. And this page 20, then we'll follow the flow chart,
Right.
okay? Are we okay with that? Okay. Okay, 23, I think is blank. We don't need a single picture with no writing
Right.
of Van Gilder.
The only thing about the flow chart is it applies, as I see it, to the existing historical property, right? We're reserving a property.
Right. It's not new.
Yeah.
What it talks about, and I was just going down to 24, and it looks like that chapter actually defines the steps in that chart. 22 and 24 are fairly related.
Okay.
Step 1, conduct historic research. Step 2, determine historic integrity. That's the chart. It defines the steps of the chart, so those two pages are related.
Page 22
Yeah.
and 24, which
And I
goes into
think-
25.
Yeah, I think all of this is actually step 3, identify key figures. See, these...
This has got to be part of a chapter. If she didn't do this is part of a chapter.
No, this is part of a chapter.
Yeah,
I do know that.
yeah, yeah. So,
Okay.
are we saying that we don't want to put the flow chart and,
Well, I think it's okay to have it in an introductory chapter because it really defines the steps taken should you want to do that and how to do it. It's pretty much a roadmap.
so I think that
It's just
like
that-
we have new, what do we have? New construction with historic features or something chapter, and we have preservation chapter, and we have restoration, we have windows, we have, like inset doors, and we have sidewalks. So could so she's got new construction, she says, see chapters 7 through 10. So if you do that in this flow chart, I think it's gonna be okay to have, following the purpose statement.
Right. Well, the flow chart, all I'm seeing here is there's step 1, step 2, and then there's a break where they talk, and this is before you get to step 3, this is the definition, this definition needs to be someplace, but I don't know that it needs to be right here. Does that make sense?
No.
Because it says
Can
step
you
1.
when you say right here,
Okay,
following his...
look at 24, look at page 24.
No, I know that part, I know, it's like a written...
But what it does is step 1, then we have step 2, and this
Yep.
follows that flow chart.
Yep.
And then here, we have out of context, contributing, non-contributing
Well, it actually-
definitions, and then we go to step 3.
Okay, but there you have the definition of contributing property and then non-contributing. So those should stay together.
They should stay,
This is actually, this is a chapter. We're in some chapter. I don't
yeah,
know
well,
what chapter.
that's what I'm saying. This was not how I remember putting it together. That's all. I think this is interesting stuff and probably needs to be here in maybe the intro chapter, but step 1, step 2, step 3, this chart should be together. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So,
but can we put page 20, when to use the design guidelines, can we put that following his purpose statement?
yeah, I don't see
And
why
then,
not.
and that's gonna have the map overlay, so that would follow that. And then there's a whole bunch of stuff before you ever get to chapter 1. I think you do that and you go into chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, because they're all titled and explain
Right.
what's in them.
But this was just, this contributing properties and non-contributing properties, and then there's a third one. See, there's a third one that's missing.
Well, she's got number 3 on page 27.
Oh, yeah, there you go, well, 26. But the point being is, there's different degrees of integrity. So depending on if you have a building that is pretty much intact, say Brown and Hawken, that's a high degree of integrity, of historic integrity. Then what they do is they modified. Those are non-contributing.
Right.
At the heart of that talks about definition of a contributing property and a definition of a non-contributing property, this is the appropriate place for it.
You don't think it is?
In between the
in-
steps,
But okay.
Yeah.
in between
Okay, I
the steps.
see.
Right.
There should be a step 5 somewhere. Yeah, there is. So what we've done for some,
Now,
it's just been kind of interjected
okay, so
here.
we want to remove or place elsewhere.
Right.
That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
Place
that's all I'm
elsewhere.
saying. That this is really good information and it lets you know. And these are
Absolutely.
national standards. When you're talking about historic preservation, these are national standards and definitions that are national standards. So I think it's good information for anybody who has a historic property.
Well, it's also good because, you know, frankly, we don't want as beautiful as that library is, especially on the inside, the exterior of it and the Petro Marine Building don't do our history any justice. So having the definition of a contributing property and a non is
Right.
really important.
And it makes a
Just
difference.
elsewhere.
Yeah, I just don't.
We are in some chapter, and I just wish we knew
Yeah.
which chapter we were in.
Yeah, so that just needs to be clear till we figure out what chapter it goes in.
Yeah.
So that we have step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5.
That makes
That
sense.
match the chart.
Yep, that makes sense. So we just leave the chart where it is, in whatever chapter this is in. And so we're just going to do his purpose statement, and then we're going to do the page where we have page 20 is then going to be the next question, and then we're going to dive into chapter 1 and keep booking. And then her intro will be a summary. And of course, there's going to be a table of contents. Those table of contents, one thing I like about what's been done here is that for each section, there's a description. And to me, that description pretty much is the chapter title.
Right.
So almost have the table of contents done. It's just placement, I guess. Okay, so page 28, nope, that's step 5. So page 29 is just a picture of St. Peter's. And as I said earlier, this is a really good property, and it's probably going to be repeated. But I'd like to see with this picture, a picture close-up that shows that deterioration.
Yeah, that
Commissioner
building
Ward.
is in serious risk.
Yeah. So,
If you've been inside,
then that
you've been in
would
the
go-
basement, you could smell it, the rot.
yeah. So that's got to go somewhere in a chapter
Yeah,
that's relative to
that building is it's one of our iconic buildings. I've tried, that
Yeah,
building
this
is trouble.
Alaska shop is an example of a setback that you can't see from the street. You can kind of see that. You can't see it if you're like on the sidewalk
I
looking.
think, see, this picture here, choosing a building, yeah, what we were trying to say is you can, a contemporary addition to a historic building is appropriate. You want to set it back from the street. So
Yes.
that was the best we could come up with. I think
Yeah.
that's actually a nice
Yeah.
addition.
You've got somewhere in here, there's a black and white, example, and you've got them all the way through,
Mm-hmm.
okay? That's really good. It's got these arrows and feet and, and it's back, so you
Set back.
cannot see it from the sidewalks. So anyway, just a thought. I think it's okay to use some of the pictures from Juneau if we don't have examples.
If we
where
don't
they
have a
do.
good example.
Yeah.
See, this talks about,
Maybe there's a mix and kind of a mishmashing here.
yeah, this is where I think, if you go to page 30, alterations, criteria for replacing historic features, that's where the contributing and non-contributing properties should, that should be here. Maybe,
Well,
I don't-
you're talking about alterations. That
yeah,
would be not really a place for that.
but I don't know
It has to go
why.
somewhere. I don't think we have to decide not tonight.
Okay,
We
well,
just put place elsewhere.
yeah, just put it, because that does not belong there.
Because you need to be able to look at the document as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So you get an idea of, where you can reduce because things are repeated, or where you can condense because there's a whole page or two in another chapter. And again, you can just reference it by page number. Please see illustration on, or please see page blah, blah, blah for this.
There's under alterations, there's a little bit I have a content issue here. It says some early alterations may have historical value. Recent alterations usually have no historic value.
You know,
But I think we're falling into a hole there.
yeah, I do too.
You know, that we,
I don't,
if it's done correctly, we don't care whether it's 20 years ago or
Yeah.
yesterday.
I think the
This is-
purpose of this, and I'm not sure that, I don't believe that was the purpose of the sentence. I believe it was, some people want to, I've always tried to say that we don't want to make it look like Disneyland. We don't want to have every property on the
right,
street go back to look like Brown and
Right.
Hopkins. So people sometimes think just because a building has been altered, that alteration is not important. And so I think, so they might rip it off. So the idea here is any alteration may have historic value.
right. But Sue,
But early ones, you don't just rip them off because they're not original to the building.
but see, this is covered in other chapters. Much better.
Yeah, if it is, then this could be gone.
So, I'm gonna put a question mark. Is this elsewhere?
Because 31 goes on to talk about alteration.
So then, there's a lot of room on page 31. Maybe page 30 can be moved to page 31. Maybe under criteria for replacing historic features.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, Art, what are you thinking? You've got that smushed up face. You're serious thinking
I
one.
think, have we gotten beyond introduction? I mean, this seems like this is all just,
You said that this was all part of the actual document.
Yeah, it was.
Her introduction was one page, and I
Her-
said this whole thing was her introduction, and you
No,
said,
it's
no,
not.
it's part of the booklet.
but it's not, it's not,
Do you think it's possible that she took certain pages and lumped those all into her introduction, trying to do this whole, like,
well, it's just, I mean, so many people have looked at it and it's been rearranged. I mean, I could go back and find the original, just to see where they were put. It's
Because
just-
on page 33, this is not in the booklet, is it?
What's that?
Originally, page 33, this chart?
Yes. Because what Juno had in their document was they had this so that you could go through and you could say, okay, I'm going to work on a contributing project and I'm really just going to do this, this, and this. And you could exit and see what chapters you needed to look at. Or I'm going to work on a brand new construction project downtown, but here's what I want to do. And so these are the chapters that I'm going to focus on. It was a kind of a way.
But do you see the bottom? The bottom of all these pages say introduction.
Yeah.
And we all keep saying, well, this is somewhere, this is in some chapter, this is in some chapter.
Yeah, but that's something that.
So I don't know that there's continuity here. That, it's not, that she really hasn't taken part of the booklet and combined it all as her introduction.
This was all part, if you look at the original document.
Yes, I know.
This was all part of the introduction, all of it. And it was kind of like defining
Okay,
what.
so this is the part I was saying needs to go and needs to be combined in the chapters.
Exactly, that's, what I was doing was going through here and trying to figure out what would be useful in an introduction, and that's why I started axing pages, because it wasn't. Now, but we don't want to lose the information if it's not somewhere.
I wasn't saying lose it. I'm saying place it in the chapters that are relative to that information, rather than having this big, long thing before you ever get to your chapters.
Right, and so criteria for replacing historic features, if that's in a later chapter, let's hang on to it, but it shouldn't really be in the intro. The guideline, now this might be useful to people on page
Yes, I think so.
33.
I do think so.
So you have contributing property, non-contributing property, and new construction. And depending on.
This would be where your non-contributing and contributing would go.
Yeah, you would define it, and then you would look at this, because it depends, the property falls, any historic property falls into a particular category depending on how it's been altered over time. So, you can have a non-contributing property that no longer looks like it did even, 30 years ago. But then you look at like a Brown and Hawkins, and Iris and Hugh did that. When they came here and started remodeling that building, they went back to the original look of the building, but that's not how it looked when they came.
No. Well, so did Urbach's.
Yeah.
In 1942. He's the only one that rebuilt as it was before it burned.
As it was, it burned in 1940. So I just think
41.
that this is useful information, but does it belong in the introduction? That's kind of that's where I was going. So I
Yeah,
think the
no.
introduction is very much slimming down.
Yeah, it needs to slim way down because all of this information is in other chapters. So I don't think you should have a person pick up this booklet and go through all this information that's in each of the relative chapters. It should have the purpose statement and whatever we decided to put on the next page and jump right into chapter 1.
I agree. That's why I'm starting to look at pages here. That's why I say axe that one, because I just don't see them as appropriate to an introduction.
Yeah, they're substantive to various chapters.
Yeah. But the information is...
And we can't decide what those are right now because we don't have the whole booklet. So this is where I say, when you're going through the whole booklet, if you will look at these, you can say, okay, this should go on page blah, 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 in chapter blah, blah, blah. Or it's not needed at all because it's already there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Sort of.
Commissioner Ward?
Well, I just feel like we're not making progress, that's all. And now what we're doing is we're chopping and hacking and streamlining, and I don't even, we're trying to axe pages and streamline, but we're not sure what's in the other chapter.
Exactly, which is
So,
placed
that makes-
elsewhere, or
Yeah.
when you're looking through the whole document, make it compare these, because I have a feeling these are actually replicated in the various chapters. So having a really long introduction that has the material that's in the chapters, I think is unnecessary, and I also think it's overwhelming.
But we never get there.
To me, we just did.
I think we did
I
significant.
mean, my
but-
understanding is that we got a purpose statement, and we got another page that has the historic overlay and the information above it, and then we jump into chapter 1, and we get into each of these topics and chapters that explain all this stuff. I honestly think this is within the document.
Well, we'll just.
And, you know, but like I said, you're comparing it, so if it's not, then it can be placed in a relative chapter. So the information
So-
isn't lost.
So is the next packet we gonna have the new upgrades and we're gonna then move them someplace else?
I think that you should have the entire packet. I have the entire packet. I mean, we're gonna get into the, you know, the timing of everything in the regular meeting, but might be kind of a good thing for us to kind of like browse over the summer or something. We have the entire one that we can kind of compare back and forth and place what's in the introduction here, which is a lot of information. Either we verify that it's in another chapter or we place it in a relative chapter. So the information isn't gone.
Well, I mean, it just seems like, yeah, that's fine, that's exactly right. I just like to get it done. That's all.
Well, I also want to point out something that's, so here, before this is going to be, this is my guess, before this is going to be approved to be given out at community development or the building department or anywhere, planning and zoning and the council are going to have to approve it. So I don't know if you want to send that out for your editing. I mean, that's the best thing to do, but keep in mind that if you do that, and they have to approve it, and there are parts or portions that they don't like, you're gonna have to send it out for another edit. So if you apply for a CLG, you wanna keep that in mind when you do that. Huh?
Nothing.
No. What?
This document needs to be edited and reviewed by HP to represent our best
Yes, absolutely.
before we send it to review.
To anybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, I totally agree.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that when we talk about sending it out for edit, before this is approved to be given out to the public, planning and zoning and the council are gonna have to approve it.
No, agreed. But if we get this as best we can, the edits will be minor. They're not gonna go through it with a fine tooth comb. They're gonna look at it and say, oh, it's voluntary. Oh, nice pictures.
No, that's a good point. That's a really good point. And definitely we wanna show them the best product, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so,
And if the edits are minor,
Yeah.
you know, we can do it,
yeah.
because we'll have it electronically, so it's.
So where I think we're at is reviewing the entire booklet with this in mind, and where these pages could fit into the chapters, place them in those chapters unless they're already there. Or information that are on these pages that isn't in a chapter that should be, then place it there. But
Sure.
not have a really long introduction.
What I'm
I
gonna
agree
do,
with that.
what I'm gonna do for myself is get me, I've got one, I just have to find it, a 3-ring notebook. I'm gonna take that original document that I've got and put it by chapter where it belongs. I'll put our edits here where they belong. So I'll have in my hot little hands, a notebook.
And have a miscellaneous chapter where we've pulled out things that we don't think belong here, but
Might
we're going to
belong
make
there.
sure.
Yeah, because I can't, well,
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
yeah. 'Cause I can't visualize what's.
Yeah, that's where I'm
Yeah.
struggling. I think that's where I'm struggling, is that, we get only so far, it's so much information, and we keep saying, well, we're gonna save this, but we never really know. There's so many
Right.
repeats, but we never get to the end where we have repeats. So,
We need to look at chapter by chapter by chapter.
I think
And
set
the
it up with a
relative-
3-ring binder is a good idea.
Yes, we do, but we need to be able to say, oh, that is covered over here.
Yes,
That's already covered.
And that's where we
that's
can never
right.
get to.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
And what I'd like to do is clean up the introduction and pull out stuff, that's why I'm talking about a miscellaneous folder or chapter where you just pull that out. We don't want to lose the information, but we're not sure where it is, so you just throw it in a folder, and when we get to that chapter, if it's there, we throw it away. If it's not there, we insert it.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was saying. Thank you.
So, but that, we've edited this, and I'm not really sure if we never seem to get to the end.
Well, no, because first we started with, each of us was going to do certain chapters. Then at the last meeting, Commissioner Benoit suggested we each go through the entire document.
But I think we'll never get there.
I'm kind of getting at that point too,
Are we back to your comment that it's
So-
going to be 3 years?
So,
It's already
what we
been for
do,
me. Cyrus and I did this like
years, yeah.
no, 3 years ago.
No.
Yeah.
so we get this notebook.
We worked on it
say
for quite a
this
long
is-
time before you guys saw it.
When we get it, okay, now I got this organized, I see what we have here. Now we can hand this off to an editor, say, here you go.
Or if, even if we had it set up to where planning and zoning could go through it, or city council could go through it before we do the editing. I think that's a real legitimate point. We can't spend a lot of money on
No.
editing only to find
I
out we
think-
have to make.
Well,
Yeah, but I think Art made a good point, that if it's acceptable to us, we send it out for edit. He's probably right. They're gonna go, bing, bing,
Yeah.
bing, 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 because they don't have time to,
If it's done right.
yeah.
If it's done correctly.
Yeah, I think if it meets our approval, once edited, I think we're good.
And I think our
But
editor,
we just have to be, we just have to be sensitive, because if they say, ooh, this,
Well-
then we take it out, or do whatever.
well, it'll be on a computer, and if we have
Yes.
a good editor, they'll be able to edit it pretty quickly. But the point being is that, we just keep looking at it, and I'm never sure when we have a product. I want to get to the end.
Well, this is going to be an evergreen project.
Yeah.
We'll
The
never,
way we're doing it now.
we'll never get to the end.
Well,
We just need to get it.
I don't know, I think chapters 3 and 9 are done. You did a good job, you did the purpose statement,
But-
it's good, we came up with page 2. We've
We-
done a lot tonight.
Well,
We know
I think
that
we have.
we know that this introduction exists in chapters. So if it's repeated, we lose it. If it's not, then we add that information into that chapter. But we don't have this really long introduction.
We just needed to get it roughed out good enough to hand off and say, here's, make this professional. Here you go.
I just want to give Commissioner Ward, encouragement. Chapters 3 and 8 are done.
Are they?
Yes, they are. We 4 just went through them. We made whatever, we accepted, we thought they flowed well, we had some questions, they were answered. We liked the purpose statement. No, we're golden.
But we didn't get to the end.
This isn't the end.
What were then what's page?
This is not this entire
Cheryl,
booklet.
don't talk over me. What is page 31, 32, 33, 34, 35? Where do
They're all
those pages
related.
go? Where do those pages go?
Well, if there isn't a chapter for them, you make a chapter for them. But I think there's a chapter where you can fit them in.
Until then, they're in the miscellaneous folder,
So structure of the design guidelines is a miscellaneous.
until we find a place for it.
So, see, I don't even think I didn't even realize we discussed that. Replace criteria for replacing historic features.
I think that's covered.
How the guidelines apply.
Okay, so are you wanting to go back now?
No, I just
We
didn't.
can do that, Sue.
No, I just didn't think we'd gotten to the end of the chunk that we had today.
Well, yeah, because you said that pages, whatever were related to 24, 26, we got into 35.
What did we say about 35?
35 is good, but it belongs somewhere else. It belongs in a relative chapter.
Structure of the design guidelines. That sounds very intro to me. All right,
maybe-
well, I missed that then.
How about that be the introduction to the chapter that would fit into?
See, I didn't realize we discussed these.
Yeah. So in my mind, it goes into your miscellaneous until we find
Okay.
a home for it.
Okay, well, I made that suggestion, but I thought we still had 4 or 5 pages to look at. So I
Okay.
missed that then.
Okay, so we finished page 33, right?
That one goes with the guidelines,
And
or with the,
contributing and non-contributing. Right?
no, contributing and non-contributing should go in miscellaneous,
Okay.
right?
Well, I thought that was where you wanted to put, but that's okay.
So step
So what do
1,
you want?
step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5 should be all together.
Yeah, she's got them. Well, there's a
Alright.
few pages in between that we decided to place elsewhere or
But yeah,
else.
the definition of contributing and non,
Yes.
okay, I got that. All right, okay, I missed, we talked about alterations,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't see 31. Is that something that goes miscellaneous? I don't remember discussing that.
Well, see, now this one, this is actually inside one of the chapters.
Okay, so that goes into miscellaneous.
That would put it below alterations.
Yeah, so alterations and then how the
Yeah, we're
guy,
gonna, 31 and 30, we're gonna be combined
okay.
and inserted into a relative chapter.
Okay, so how the guidelines apply, now that works, it talks about a non-contributing, a contributing, and a new project. That goes with the ones that we already removed, right?
Okay, hold on, where are we?
Page 33. that should,
Yeah, that came earlier too. How the guidelines apply has cropped up several times in this intro.
okay. And this,
And this is important.
well, this chart should actually accompany what we removed. If you go back to the steps, definitions of a contributing property, so page 24 and 25 actually relate to that chart. And we've removed these into the miscellaneous file. So page,
24 and 25. Okay. And page 33, the chart
should go in the
here.
miscellaneous file, right?
Well, I was writing place elsewhere,
Right.
like into chapters. But you're saying 33 goes with chapter, or page
Well,
24 and 25.
So you look
So
at, well, what
add,
type of work on a
33.
contributing property, work on a non-contributing property, work on a new construction project. That's why I was thinking it went
Yeah.
with the stuff that we removed.
well, but, okay, we didn't remove 24 and 25, right?
We put them in the miscellaneous file.
No, I didn't, I put place elsewhere.
Well,
Insert into, or
Cheryl, all I'm saying is because this references that definition,
then we
It should go
place
with-
it 24, 25.
right,
Right, so I
Exactly.
could add page 33 on 25.
okay. And then when we talk about structure of design guidelines,
Okay, where are we at on that?
page 34 and 35.
Okay, 34 is part of
Yeah.
your chart on 33.
So that's in the miscellaneous file,
Well, it's
or
back, it's back with 24 and 25.
okay? Structure of the design guidelines, which seems to refer to how this is organized.
We're in the
This
weeds.
is,
No,
yeah.
no, all I'm doing is, we have one more page, and then we're done with the chunk that we have. Where does page 35 go? And then we're done with this group of documents. We didn't address it.
Okay, that's fine. I'm looking, I'm thinking. Well, you've got this little box down here, which is a beautiful, the picture is a beautiful illustration of what you're trying to explain. There's a chapter that covers the windows and the doors. So that should be inserted into that chapter. As far as your structure of the design guidelines, I mean, we've got, I don't know, let's see,
Do we-
now let me read it.
Okay, so I'm happy to take it out. I'm happy, but now we have a place for every one of the pages, which we didn't, and we were gonna end. So if this page needs to go away, that's fine.
Yeah, it's bits and pieces that are listed elsewhere and frankly better.
Okay, that's fine.
So we crossed the structure, but the box with the windows and doors is really good.
All right.
So that should be, if it's not, it should be inserted into the relative chapter.
So now we are done with the chunk of the design guidelines that is in our packet. The whole thing is done. We were short of 2 or 3 pages to decide what we were going to do. That was all I was trying to get through the whole thing.
Okay. All right. Okay, so we have this from SHPO. We have a virtual education series on June 30th. From 1 to 3. When it says series, I just wonder, is this going to be like, a series? Or is this like it? So anyways, all this is dealing with is the training on the CLG basics. And I'm going to get into this in the regular meeting, but I'll say now that SHPO, to stay in good standing with SHPO, Historic Preservation Commission needs to be training at least once a year. We need to have official training. So it might be something that we think about, which may have to happen on our own. Okay. The next page on 39, if we're good to go.
Sure.
Okay, yes, Bart?
This is it by Zoom, or what is this? MS Teams?
You know,
What is this?
I am not sure.
Microsoft Teams. It's another virtual tool.
Oh, virtual.
And she has a link for
Similar to
us.
Zoom, similar but different, so they would send you the link.
Yes. We probably have to sign up and, as individuals.
It asks you to register by sending
Yeah.
sending an email to that address. There's an address there.
Right,
At
it
the
says for
bottom, right,
details,
A&R.
for details or to register
Yep.
for the session.
Yep,
Okay, so we need training once a year.
yeah. At
Okay.
least once a year.
Okay, question now. We have a training coming up Saturday, I believe,
Hey,
14th.
That has nothing to do with historic preservation. That is what
Right.
the functions of our positions are and how meetings are and forums and
So we need SHPO training once a year.
at least. You need historic preservation training at least once a year to stay in good standing with SHPO. Now, there may be something available next fall, but for 2022, we've done no training. And in fact, we did no training in 2021 because we were crazy busy with the CLG project.
We had gotten a CLG grant, and we were actually implementing.
Yes.
Would it be okay if I were to email this and ask about training in the fall, what your schedule is?
Sure? Yeah. Maria Lewis is the contact.
Yeah, she's really nice.
Is she
Really
listed here?
nicely. Yes,
You
Maria
may share
Lewis,
the
MA.
information then?
Pardon me?
Will you share the information?
Yeah, if I find something. But I'd rather go in the fall
Actually,
than,
either Director Saylor or Clerk Baloo should be in charge of that. We can't be
Okay.
doing that amongst ourselves. So, let's see. Okay, so you would like to contact Maria Lewis to find out if she's aware of additional training in the fall for historic preservation.
right.
Could you relay that to Director Saylor, please? Thank you.
This is only 2 hours, so.
It looks like it's an education series, so I suspect you're correct,
Yeah,
that it's going to be a 2-hour here, a 2-hour there.
that's what I'm thinking, because they say series. Okay. Are we ready to move on? 38 is the agenda for 37. Okay, I'm ready to move on.
Okay?
We're past our regular meeting time start. Okay, so on page 39, this is from Corvus Designs, and this is, where we are with spending our $1,700. It's going to provide 72,000 maps, which with Commissioner Benoit's research, we found that the Chamber of Commerce recommends 100,000. So we're doing pretty good. And thank goodness, the council approved our resolution, and we do have those donor funds of 7,200, and they've approved it for these maps, which I think I'm going to repeat when we get into the regular meeting. but
I do know that Commissioner Benoit, she'll be happy when she gets back from her conference to...
I've let her know.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and she's been in touch, and she wants us to see if we can get this approved, which is going to come in the regular meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. So, is there a picture? Yes, okay, so the last page, page 41 and 42, this is regarding the Hoban flower urns. There was an offer from Parks and Rec to have a gardener take care of these for us. And it turns out that they've not hired a gardener, so that offer no longer stands. So Commissioner Benoit asked Kylie if the Parks and Recs department could at least water them for us, and they cannot. So again, it is still up to us to do. I'm hoping that you guys are going to approve this. It's not in the next meeting. Neither is, well, okay, let's just wait till we get to the next meeting. Anyway, while Gary was having surgery, the first thing I did was go to Tongi and get the screws that we needed for the frames of the signs. The second thing I did was go to the greenhouse and get the plants that we need to plant, because every year, by the time we get approval for this, I'm stuck with whatever's left. So this time I went and I got the best first. So I have the plants, they're ready to go. I have the soil, it's ready to go. Again, per your approval. With your permission, if we could end the work session and maybe take a potty break and then get into the regular meeting, that'd be super duper. Does everybody
Go for
concur? Okay, we are ending the work session at 7:40 p.m. Hopefully we're not getting into
Okay,
that.
we are ready.
Okay, this is the regular meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission, May 12th, 2022, and it is 7:48. All right, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, can you take roll, please?
Next roll call, Ward,
Yes.
Benoit is Thompson, LeBret is excused, Walker,
Here.
Lemaster,
Here.
and Chair Cease.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, so, all right, so we're gonna go by agenda. Okay, I need a motion to approve. Oh, first, do we have any citizen comments?
Oh, I don't believe so. We do not.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I need a motion to approve the agenda and the consent agenda and a second, please.
I so approve.
I second.
Thank you. All right, we have no special orders. Do we have a city administration report? Oh, sorry, we need to vote on the approval of the agenda and the consent agenda.
Voting on the agenda, Walker,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Lemaster,
Yes.
Chair Sees.
Yes.
Your agenda and consent agenda are approved, and approved on your consent agenda are the April 14th, 2022 regular meeting minutes and the April 21st, 2022 special meeting minutes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and thank you, Vice Chair. All right, do we have a city administration report?
No.
Well, I always do that in case Director Saylor has something. Okay, chair report. Okay, I made my report, my first quarterly report orally to the council, and I included Commissioner Benoit's breakdown of the cost and the amount of the walking tour maps. I attended the Jesse Lee Memorial meeting April 11th at 5:30. This is a work session of the committee or in committee. This type of work session allows members of the public to be a part of the discussion, and both council and Director Bickling want HP's input regarding the Jesse Lee Memorial. Director Bickling has requested a mock-up of what we intend by a historic narrative sign. So I thought, well, I'll just go down and I'll take a picture of one of ours and, give it to them, because that's what we're talking about. And then I mentioned to them, having them inside a gazebo or a miniature building to mimic one of the Jesse Lees. But in either case, the ceiling being that of what the cathedral room was, which was an example of the early shipbuilding here, the ribbing in the ships. It was beautiful.
It was built by shipwrights.
Yeah. So I'd like to see that ceiling, and council members were very open to that. And the positive that I want to make sure I underline is that our commission has been invited into the process of the Jesse Lee Memorial. So I'm going to still be attending the Jesse Lee meetings that council has, and I'd recommend that if you are interested in this, that you do the same. Okay, and I covered this earlier, but regarding training, HP commissioners should be attending at least one type of historic preservation training annually to stay in good standing with SHPO. It needs to be some sort of historic preservation. And then I commented on this. The historic preservation booklet will need to be approved by both planning and zoning and council. And so we talked a little bit about the editing process, and as long as we're happy with the end result, then we trust council and planning and zoning will be, and there should be minimal, if any, suggestions of editing from them. So that would be taken up at that point. Now, Liberty Miller, owner of the train wreck, she is an award recipient from last year, if you'll recall, for her cemetery tour, Woodlawn Cemetery. Anyway, she's interested in adding the train wreck to the Seward Historic Inventory list and the Seward Register of Historic Places. She does have access to a great deal of history for this property. Now, I spoke with her months ago about this, so I don't know if she has amassed that information that she was talking about or not. I suggested that she contact Colleen Kelly at the museum for more information on its history. And then add add the Register of Seward's Historic Bush and Tree to the priorities list, as that's something that's part of our duties. And then I'm working on creating a file of documents in a computer folder, which will be placed, templates, processes, responsibilities of the chair, which I'll submit to Director Saylor. And I'm also going to hold a copy for whomever becomes chair. It'll be on a jump drive that you can just plug into your computer. When I was given this position, I had nothing, so I just think it'll be helpful. And then I was also at the council meeting where they went over our resolution for the Historic Business District. And what they did prior to the actual taking up of the resolution was they had a discussion about it. And per that discussion, they, just poo-pooed going any further. So the resolution wasn't even taken up. So the Historic Business District is not going to be. And consequently, if that's not going to be, I'm not so sure you want to spend time investing in creating an historic table in the, what is it, the land use plan. That's up to you guys. But I also was thinking, and you might consider this, what we're really for sure absolutely trying to protect is 4th Avenue between Adams and Washington. Now, like maybe you want to reduce your boundary to, 5th Avenue to 4th Avenue from Adams to Washington, or include Jefferson, but maybe reduce your footprint. Maybe they'd be happier with that. I don't know.
I find that a little odd because we already have it listed. All we were asking for was a name change.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't think we want to reduce it because it's already there. It's already
But
there.
as it is, there are no protections, there's no ordinances, and I don't think they're going to go for one.
No.
So I was just thinking about, out of the box, how could we maybe put something more palatable to them?
I wouldn't want to reduce what's already there, put it that way. So we'll have to come up with a plan B.
I was just thinking of a footprint within it where maybe they'll let you put some constraints to protect what's there. Anyway. All right, so Commissioner Benoit is working on the historic inventory list, updating it and including things that we discovered during our research last year for our historic narrative signs. But in addition to this, a new inventory list needs to be created to include the years 1942 through 1991, as those are also now 50 years. And I attended this fantastic symposium. And I cannot pronounce these. I did that day, but there was so much of these native, words. I have brochures for each of you if you would like them for our local center. And I'm hoping that in the next CLG, because we were going to do phase 2 for the people that wanted to, but we'd already capped out with money on this CLG. So we told them that, well, we're going to be doing another phase of this. In that phase, I would like to see us give historic attention to the first peoples of Seward. And my last meeting, well, we're going to have to talk about that. I'll read this. Well, actually, you guys all have your packet. You can read it. Okay. Moving on, other reports. Okay, so Commissioner Benoit, her report you can read, on the Facebook pages. She is hoping that she will be able to work with Director Saylor on adding some days, some information like for Founder's Day, which we did talk about at the April meeting. And Director Saylor seemed, okay with that then, but Commissioner Benoit asked me to bring that up at this meeting tonight. Okay, now, here we go.
CLG one.
Okay, so now I'm on page 24. CLG grant update, which will come, okay. So, I don't need to give you an update on the Jesse Lee Memorial Project, other than to say that, you know, it's in the works. They're dealing with the land.
Has to be mitigated, right?
Yeah, they're in the process of doing that. But they're, you know, working, you know, envisioning what happens beyond that. So far, it is still parkland from this last meeting. It looks like the majority of it is going to remain parkland. It seems that only a small portion could be used for residential housing. But, you know, that's the importance of, you know, attending these meetings, so we know where they're at. So now the CLG report. So what's left of our CLG now that all the signs are
Yay.
installed are these additional historic walking tour maps. So we're continuing with Corvus Designs. They've given the estimate. We know that our 7,200 is going to purchase us 72,000 maps. Now, I have a question for Clerk Blue. So, I asked last night if we could have a special meeting in between our meetings tonight to approve the purchase of these maps and the use of the donor funds. Do we still need a special meeting, or if because this is in here, we can vote on it?
I'm not sure that, well, I do think actually that it would be wise to pass a resolution, for the commission to pass a resolution saying, here's the funds that were appropriated to us, here's how we're going to spend them, here's who's going to do the work, and get that on the record. I think it would be wise to get that in a resolution format.
Would that then have to go to council for approval
No.
before we could order?
No, council
Okay.
has already
Approved.
appropriated the money
Yep.
for you in the budget,
Okay.
but now it's yours to spend, but it would be wise to do that through a resolution. And as soon as you pass that, then you can just get the order
Order the
done.
maps, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So in addition to having a special meeting for this, and we may as well just go ahead and talk about this, in that special meeting, I would need your approval to be reimbursed for the money I spent for the flowers. And I'm not going to know for sure if I have to use 2 bags of soil or 1, so I have 2 different receipts. So, now we need to talk about when. So next Thursday, if you're free, which is the 19th of May, this is going to be a quick meeting. All we're doing is coming together as a quorum to vote the approval of this resolution, which, am I allowed to write that up and have it ready for us?
Well,
So it's
we'll
even
need to have
quicker?
it ready in advance.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
All right,
it has to be published.
right, okay. So, like say 5:30? I don't know.
Is that enough time to publish it?
No,
A week?
oh yeah, yeah.
Okay. I just didn't know if there's as long as it can get out ASAP.
Yeah. Yep, there's time.
Okay.
When do I need the resolution to you? Can I do it Monday?
Monday, yeah.
Okay.
Monday works. Tuesday, very latest, I think.
Okay.
Would be good.
Well, I'll
Okay.
work for Monday.
Okay.
All right. Oops, I gotta go over here. Okay, so I need to know if, say, 5:30 on the 19th works for each of us to gather so we can approve the resolution to get the maps ordered and to reimburse me for my flowers. And I won't submit the receipts until I know whether I need 1 or 2 bags of soil.
I can do it.
I can do it.
I'll be in Petersburg.
Oh, okay. When will you not be in Petersburg?
I'm going to Anchorage Tuesday.
So you're free Monday. Today's Thursday. If you posted that tomorrow, would that give us enough time to have a meeting on Monday?
Can you have the resolution done tomorrow?
Yep, I'll work on it.
It
Can
should
you
be
help
pretty-
me, Brenda, if there's anything I said incorrectly or missed? Am I allowed to work with you on that?
And then also you need an agenda statement for the reimbursement, at least. You don't need a resolution for that, but for the commission to approve.
So agenda statement.
Expenditure for that.
Okay, so that has to be tomorrow, actually.
Yeah. I'll notice the meeting.
Okay.
Well, I can't notice it until I have the resolution.
Res and then agenda for money. Okay. All right, so on Monday, are we free on Monday?
Yes.
Can we do it after 3 because I work?
No problem.
Okay. Madam Clerk, when would you like us to do this? It's going to be quick, so it could be during your workday. We could do it in the clerk's office, right?
No, you can.
Oh, you can? Oh.
I'm just looking real quick to see, to make sure that there's no, at the calendar. for
Yeah,
Monday.
absolutely.
Real
Yep.
quick, so
Yep.
we'll just see, make sure.
It'd probably take about 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, we can have chambers on Monday. So you tell me what time.
How about on your way home?
Oh, 3:30?
Yeah, that'd be okay by me.
Okay, great. Okay, so that's the 16th. No,
Yes.
Yes.
It's the 16th.
okay. 3:30. Okay. All right, now, moving on. Okay, so we already okayed the minutes. Okay, here's where we get to where we're, okay. So, we have our Historic Preservation Awards to nominate. So, Mary Tugis was in here from the last packet. Did you guys have a chance to read hers? And my supporting letter?
I just want to point out.
Oh,
too,
yes.
that You have a laydown with 2 additional nominations that have come in before the deadline. So there are now before you a total of 6 applications, or 6 nominations to consider, and the Mary Tugis one was brought forward from the last meeting.
So, did you guys get a chance to read Mary's? To me, she's a shoo-in.
I couldn't speak to it. It looked good.
My 2 cents, though, is recognize the people that did the work on the walking tour.
No, she's not part of the walking tour. Mary Tugis had nothing to do with the walking tour.
But is
She
that-
did provide some of the photos, but we paid.
But is that what we're talking about?
No. These are individual applications. So you have to read the top to see who the nominated person or persons is. And in this case, it's just Mary Tugis, and it's just for the things that Mary Tugis has done to advance and to preserve Seward's history.
Review them for us. Didn't you submit the award?
Yes, I did. Okay, well, look.
Since that's the only one we don't have, right? Pretty much.
36.
You have it in your packet. You had it in the last packet.
I didn't bring that pack.
Okay.
Page 35 and 36
Six.
is Mary.
Is that Mary
Yes,
Tugis?
and
Okay, never
37.
mind then.
So, basically, if you've not read this, you should, because she's done a lot. But the most important thing that she has done for Seward's preservation is work to get that library built, but within that library, that museum. We did not have a climate-controlled museum beforehand. They've done, she has led a project to record the gateway papers digitally from 1904 to 1946, and they have put them in order. Some of them were water damaged to the point that they could not be preserved, but they are now all in order, in boxes, and protected. And then, let's see. And then, of course, you know, in addition to Patty Linville getting the 470 photos that are currently available, there is a 40,000 photo collection that she'd like to get online for access, ease of access. So that's part of her goals to come. So that's, you know, what do you call that? Whatever. That's the short form. If you read the whole thing, it's interesting. But I would like, she has my nomination. Obviously, I'm the one that nominated her. I make a motion that we nominate Mary Tugas for the Historic Preservation Award.
I want to see the rest of them. We have how many more?
Yeah, we can do multiples.
I know, but let's just go through them. Are we going to give them to everybody?
Well, I'm kind of leaning that way.
Okay, well, I don't have a
I mean, I
problem
don't
with
know
it.
I don't know if there's duplicates or what.
Right, well, let's just review them.
Okay, so Doug Capra. So, at the beginning of this, I said I really wanted to focus on people that had not received an award.
Right.
He received one in 2012. So, Dot Barterson has recommended this, and she's, you know, given, you know, good reasons for it.
Well, Doug did help us with the walking tour. He gave a lot of time. I do know that.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Because I actually spent several hours talking to him about my signs, so, and he reviewed all the signs, from what I understood. He and Lee reviewed every sign. They were the kind of...
This is from her.
No, I know, but I'm just throwing that out there.
Yes, he is worthy. I agree.
Documented research and documentation of history of Seward. Curatorial historic records. He made...
See here, unfortunately on these, they don't tell you why. They just refer you to minutes. So, but anyway, I'm cool with nominating him again.
Well, like I say, he saved us. I know for me, he reviewed all of the signs to make sure they were historically accurate, and there was a couple of things where we had rumor and whatever, and it could only be historically accurate. So he gave a lot of time for that. So I can get behind Doug as well.
Okay, well, the next one is myself.
This one for Mary Ann.
Oh, sorry.
Before Doug.
Oh, before Doug. Oh, yes. Okay. Okay. So this is in relationship, in my opinion, to the nomination by Doreen Lorenz. Rather than having one of us, it should be all of us or none of us, in my opinion.
I kind of disagree, only because, I mean, I was on the commission, and I put a lot of time in, but Mary Ann put an exorbitant amount of time. She put, probably, we had 3,000 hours, and she probably put half of those in.
I wouldn't say that much, but I do
Yeah.
agree that she put in.
So and she's not here, which makes it, I just think that the commission should honor the amount of time that she put in. I think she went above and beyond and pulled off that project.
No, we pulled off that project.
I understand, but she put in a lot more time than we did. I'm happy to not get anything but give it to Mary Ann. I'm real happy.
I'd like to see all of you get it, because you guys all did a lot of work.
Well, it's kind of
And I
hard.
don't know that we should quantify it. You know, I've still been working on this thing. I've been working out there holding frame up for, you know.
Well, that's why I think there's another one that for you.
I know,
here.
but I don't, there is?
Yeah.
Well,
And I could
so
get
my
behind that.
opinion, I'm just one commissioner, and Sue is, or Commissioner Ward is another commissioner, but my belief is all four that worked on the CLG and accomplished it should be recognized, or none of us should. I don't think we should quantify the efforts, because it was a joint effort that accomplished this. That's my opinion, in addition to Commissioner Ward's.
I agree.
And then there's more.
It's one for you or Gary.
Yeah, there's one for you and Gary.
Iris.
Okay, but,
And Cheryl,
okay, so, I see, I've got mixed up. I'm looking at the letter where she's referring to all of us.
and Cheryl,
Oh,
you,
where she's doing the commission of 2021, 2022. Okay, I see. All right. Yes?
I was just gonna say, I have no problem. You've been chair for how many years now? And you've worked tons of hours outside, meetings. So I would have no problem in voting you an award as your role as chair, and Gary's your support. So I have no problem. I agree. So,
Well, the other one is the Sewer and Historic Preservation Commission of 2021 and 2022. So, while Commissioner Lemaster and Commissioner Walker are very valuable, 2022 is not half over yet. I don't know how you guys feel. Iris also nominated this commission, and she's written a nice support letter for it. But she's mainly focused on the CLG and the Holden Park, which really have been the commissions prior to Commissioner Lemaster and Commissioner Walker being on the commission. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Well, I think it should be the four of you that did all the work on the signs. Art and I don't put on in it.
I just have a hard time voting for ourselves.
Okay.
Well, they've come before us. We declined doing this as a conflict of interest last time because it was it was commissioners nominating commissioners. So these are people from the public nominating commissioners.
Yes.
So I think that's acceptable?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, I know what you're saying. I'm uncomfortable with the Gary and I one.
Well, I know how much work you've put in,
So,
and you don't do that without the support of your husband, so.
okay, so I'm just gonna say what I think. I think Doug Capra. I think Mary Tugas. I think Tongi, Marianne, Sue, and I need to make sure I'm not missing anybody here. And with Marianne, I do include her.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, that I could live with. What about Mr. Steves?
You could form it in a motion,
Yeah,
and then the commission could vote on it.
On each one, or just on,
However you wanna-
okay, so,
You're
okay,
creating
here,
it,
okay.
You don't have it on the floor, so.
Okay, I make a motion that we nominate for the 2022 Historic Preservation Award, Doug Capra, Mary Tugas, Cheryl Cease, Tongi Lebrecq, Sue Ward, Marianne Benoit, as a commission.
Is there a second?
And I guess me and Gary.
You and Gary. I'm okay with that.
I'll second it.
Cheryl, it's okay. You've been chair for 2 terms.
Well, not 2 full terms, but
So you've put in a lot of time. And without the support of Gary, I'd like to see him,
well, he helps at Hoban.
yeah, I like to see folks in the background also, the support staff.
Like Eric was for you,
Yeah.
creating the PowerPoint.
That's exactly right. I would have gratefully included him. So, are we ready to vote?
Commissioner Lemaster?
I don't know how many of these is customary.
There isn't a number. We went over this last year because we had 2 really good ones. I mean, Liberty, she had council members write letters. She had
Yeah.
all kinds of letters that came in support of her. And then Colleen Kelly
Same
put
thing.
incredible, not just providing photos, but she actually helped us with research.
Yep.
So that's why they were nominated. In my opinion, I think Doug Capra, Mary Tugas are for sure. And then our commission for 2020-2021 through the CLG project, the 4 of us. And I guess Gary and I. So that's 4 awards.
I think the more you give away, the better.
I think it's like good community,
Do you give out 4 awards?
huh?
Can you give out 4 awards?
There's not a limit.
Oh, sure.
It's up to us. But I think maybe if you're not stingy in the amount you give out, maybe you encourage, maybe that's another bloop in the support to grab interest for the public of, hey, maybe I want to do some historic stuff. Maybe it does matter to this community.
I don't disagree with that. Call for a vote.
Okay, I call for a vote.
Voting on the motion to award HP awards to Doug Capra, Mary Dugas, HP Commissioners C. Lebrecht, Ward, and Benoit, and the 4th to Sue and Gary, Cheryl, and, sorry.
He is my date on Sundays.
Gary. Walker,
Yes.
Lemaster,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Chair Cease.
Shiley, yes.
That motion has been approved.
Okay. All right. On page 46, I asked Director Bailey to include this. This is from City Manager Bauer, and it's good information for what we are, who we serve, who is our administrator, and that is Director Saylor. And, she goes into, Alaska City Councils and committees, which I think the training on Saturday is probably going to go into detail. And when a commissioner can speak. So I just, I wanted you all to have this and not just it being emailed to me, because I thought it was good information. And then finally, on page 47 and 48, I wrote out the duties of the chair. This is not hard and fast, this is not cast in stone. These are from my experiences, and it's just my attempt to help whomever is going to lead the commission. And also you guys, because, you know, help from fellow commissioners is great. And I really do hope that your commission will choose to be very involved in the Jesse Lee Memorial. You now have a voice, and that's the first time since I've been on this commission. Oh, yeah, and then you can read this on your own if you haven't already. So, because the bulk of that is, you know, the bulk of this is regarding the Jesse Lee, which has nothing to do with duties of the chair, but for me, it's a duty, because I'm passionate about it. Do we have any discussion over any of this?
Well, I was just going to say, is this the time to... What kind of discussion are you looking for?
Any. I mean, you know, to me, what these last 2 pages from city manager and the duties of the chair, those are informational. You know, you can read those on your own. They're just help for you if you want them.
Is this the time to bring up taking a break?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Sorry,
Can we do that?
I didn't hear it.
I just want you to go ahead and do that.
Okay.
So we are done with our discussions on these last 2 pages. Commissioner Ward.
With you leaving, we do not have a chair. And at this point, nobody's volunteered. I'm going to resign as the vice chair because I am not going to be automatically thrust into that position. The other thing that I would like to suggest is, because we're all real tired and we need to recruit 2 other members, I would like to suggest that we take a break for the summer and come back in September.
So, if I may, the chair's term will naturally expire May 31st.
Right.
So she remains on the commission until May 31st. The appointment of the vice chair expires May 31st, naturally. So if you were to have a meeting in June, one of your items on your agenda would be to vote for a chair and a vice chair. If the commission chooses to take a hiatus, that's completely within your authority to do that. That agenda item would just carry forward to whenever you do resume your meetings.
September.
But just so you know, those 2 assignments are self-imposed,
Right.
and you have no obligation to take on anything you don't want to do.
Right. My concern was, as vice chair, that I would have to step into that
You
position.
do not have to do
Because
that.
I gave her misinformation. I told her
Well,
she'd have to
it's
call
all-
the June meeting.
It's all fine, but I think the other thing is, right now, we don't have anybody willing to step into those positions at this point. We have people that want to stay on the commission, and I think we need to take the summer to recruit folks so that we have a full commission. We need to discuss with Commissioner LeBrecq his commitment due to the personal issues in his family that, you know, we need to know whether he's going to actually be able to attend meetings. And so I think, and I know we're all real tired, I know I am, so I would like it to take the summer off and come back in September with 2 new commissioners and hopefully decide who's going to step up to the plate and do the chair and the vice chair's job. I'm just throwing it out there. Do we need to make a motion for discussion?
You can.
Or we can just discuss, see what people think.
I think it's a great idea.
This is, the last time that I can, on our special meeting. I have until May 31st, according to our Madam Clerk, as chair. So my input is, I think it's a great idea. My first couple of years, we worked all the way through 12 months. Then in 2021, we took July off. And I do think that with the lack of commissioners, you are fighting to have a quorum. And that can also be an issue. And so I would agree with Commissioner Ward that it gives you time to rest, but it also gives you time to recruit and get people interested in serving and get a commitment out of them so that you can come back with a, if not a full board, just about a full commission, I mean.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know if this is okay, Madam Clerk, but like that training that would happen during that 3-month hiatus, June, July, August, if we did that training as individuals, if that would qualify for training.
Yeah, you're still commissioners
And then-
even if you're on hiatus.
Right.
And then we can make the choice ourselves if we choose to work on the booklet, over the summer at our own pace. I don't know. I think it's a good idea. Commissioner Lemaster?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me.
So, make a
So resume
motion.
in September? Okay.
Oh, we don't have to make a motion or vote? Cool.
There's no objection.
And I think the initial point of contact would be either myself or Tongi, Commissioner LeBret. I did speak. I've been real concerned, part of our problem is that he can't make meetings, and so, and his reason for that is perfectly understandable, but we have to make a decision. We can't leave a position open, even as much as we love the man, we can't do that. So I think he's determined to stay, and he might even step up to the plate as chair, depending on Marcella's health.
That'd be great.
So, but that's been a concern, and he knows it.
Yeah,
He
that's
apologizes to the commission, but we all understand.
Yeah, he does, every meeting.
We all understand.
So I believe it's been decided, with the exception of Monday's meeting at 3:30, the special meeting, that will end the meetings until September. Lots of fishing?
Training on Saturday.
Oh, sorry, yeah, you guys have to do training on Saturday. I don't have to do that if my term doesn't end till the end of the month, do I, Madam
No.
Clerk? Can I get out of that?
Where's it going to be?
At the library.
That's what I thought, 9 to 1?
9:30? What time was it start?
I looked through my packet, I couldn't find the little notice, so,
Yeah, I'll send it out again tonight
Okay.
as a reminder. I think it's 9:30 to 1:30.
I
Okay.
have to leave at noon because I'm going to a funeral.
Yep, I got your email, and that's totally fine. And we'll have some breakfast snacks, and then we'll bring lunch in
Right.
for everybody.
and Mary Ann, our commissioner,
Yeah, she's
she's
already let
in
me know.
Talkeetna.
She did, yep. Okay.
Okay. I'm ready to adjourn.
I so move.
Second.
Okay, the meeting has ended at 8:20.
For the record, there were no citizen comments.
Thank you.
I have a citizen comment now, but it doesn't relate to this.